has been suspended over what is tagged an anti-government sermon. Did he in any way err? And the Action Democratic Party, ADP, has reacted to the Abuja-Kaduna train attacks, saying that the APC federal government is plagued with incompetence and corruption. We speak with the party's national chairman on the program tonight. This is Past Politics, and I'm Kofi Battels. The Chief Imam of the Apple Legislative Quarters Jumat Mosque, Abuja, Alhaji Nur Khalid, has been suspended after stating in his sermon last Friday that the administration of President Muhammadu Buhari had failed. Yes, Khalid had, in his sermon, lambasted the government for its inability to effectively tackle the country's security situation and called on the electorate not to vote for any politician who cannot guarantee the safety of life and property in Nigeria. Now, the People's Democratic Party, the opposition party, however, criticized the move, insisting that the suspension of the cleric was evidence that the Buhari regime was repressive. But the party also said it was obvious that Nigeria had returned to the days of Decree 4, when it was a crime to make any public speech criticizing or embarrassing the government. Now, joining us to look at this is Emmanuel Owubiko, who is a national coordinator of the Human Rights Association of Nigeria. But before he comes in, let's quickly take a recap of that sermon delivered by Sheikh Muhammadu Nur Khalid.
Yes, we are going to vote in 2023, but under condition that there must be security in Nigeria. Period to that, we are not going out to vote anything. If that's the only language you understand, we're going to speak it. Because our lives are important. We are people, we want to live, and our dignity is important as well. Our wealth is important. Every part and bit of us is important. Therefore, you must do something to scare our life and to make our security workable. We can't afford to be moving like this. People bombing our trains, killing our people, kidnapping our people as if there is no government in the country. They can gather information, they can gather intelligence information, they can dispatch information, they can dispatch intelligence information as if they are government of their own. While our government cannot share intelligence information and stop the rubbish on our ways, we can't afford it. I said it, we can't afford it. We need something better than this. And we deserve that thing better than this. We're going to pray. But we have to tell you the truth. That corruption is everywhere. That is why we are seeing this. And you have to do something about it. And you, the citizens, have to start.
All right, Mr. Owubiko, thanks for joining us. Well, of course, as you had quite a passionate sermon and exhortation to Nigerians from the Imam of that Apple Legislative Quarters Jumat Mosque, Sheikh Muhammadu Nur Khalid. Emmanuel Owubiko, what are your thoughts on the, first of all, on the sermon and the content of that sermon?
Thank you very much. There is nothing much in what the Islamic cleric said that is outside of the realities of our time. He was just being very frank and straight to the point. And I think what he's actually saying is that government has a statutory obligation to protect Nigerians. And any government that goes contrary to that legal obligation, that government loses her legitimacy to govern. So I think he's just saying something that is commonsensical, you know, and quite it's quite unbelievable that some people will take offense at such a very objective statement from that respected, cleric.
What are your thoughts on the reasons given by the Apo Legislative Quarters Mosque Committee, led by a member of the National Assembly, saying that he's expected not to engage in any rhetoric that is political, and that they suspended him on the 2nd of April this year, but he has not shown any remorse, and therefore they were disengaging his services. Do you think that such a reason is strong enough to disengage the services of such a person in society, a religious leader? Because some would say, you have a platform which has people from all sides, so probably you should not be political if you're occupying such a platform.
I'm actually surprised, maybe because I'm a practicing Roman Catholic, and as a human rights activist, first and foremost, as somebody who believes in God, and somebody who also attends a worship center, I don't understand how the worshippers will now tell the preacher what to tell them. It doesn't. It doesn't sound very logical. It's like somebody going to a mosque in Saudi Arabia and telling the imam of that mosque in Saudi Arabia, please, I don't want you to talk about the threat of terrorists in Nigeria. I don't want to talk about this or that issue. It sounds very. I don't really get it. I don't get it. It's inexplicable. That you expect a preacher to be a puppet. The pulpit is not for puppeteering. The pulpit is not a place where you manipulate a machine and you dictate to the machine what to say. It's like that garbage in, garbage out. No, that's not what it is. It's a human institution where the person who is in charge and who is supposed to deliver sermon is expected to exercise his discretion and say what he believes is something that is quite wrong in the society, or he goes into theological interpretation of the affairs affecting the citizens of that country, because religion cannot be practiced outside of the society. Religion is part of the civil society.
Okay.
And whatever happens in the society must be discussed in any religious gathering. Otherwise, it's no longer a religious worship. Okay. It becomes a political meeting.
Interesting. Mr. Omiko, so you are saying that other parts of things that affect society must be discussed. Otherwise, it's no longer a religious meeting, but a political meeting. But some would argue that if you go political at a religious gathering where people are going to pray to Allah to forgive their sins, Allah to bless them, that if you turn it into a political a meeting where you have political talk and you're criticizing the government, then that rather is when the meeting becomes political, because there are people who support the government, there are people who are against the government, and therefore, in order not to take sides, you just lead them in prayer and tell them what the scripture says, and that's it.
If by saying the truth amounts to taking sides, then you have chosen the right path. If you take sides with the truth, why should anybody persecute you or begin to criticize you because you have chosen the path of truth? If you remove truth from religion, it's no longer religion. And there's no how you expect a preacher, whether it is organized religion or unorthodox, you don't expect the person to get there and start preaching without making references to the security situation that affects himself and the people that come to that religious institution to gather. It doesn't make sense at all. I mean, it's a fallacy.
Okay. All right. Mr. Obiko, let's look at the statement and some parts of the statement from the Apple Legislative Quarters Central Mosque Committee. This is a committee that administers the mosque and, of course, oversees the mosque. And they wrote to Imam Nurul Khalid on the 4th of April 2022. And, of course, even though in the letter they wrote 4th of April 2023, and some people are pointing out to say maybe somebody who signed that letter was thinking about 2023. But this is what they said. We regret to inform you that from today, the 4th of April 2023, should have been 2022, you have been disengaged from the services of the above-mentioned mosque. This action is occasioned by the non-remorseful attitude you exhibited following your suspension on the 2nd of April this year. That's 2 days prior. They went on to say in the third paragraph, unfortunately, your media reaction to the suspension creates the impression that you are not remorseful, not to talk of humbly reflecting on the consequences of your utterances. Leadership demands a great sense of responsibility. If our words do more harm than good to the larger interests of the country or the public, we have a responsibility to maximum restraint for the good of the public. It is obvious, however, that you don't seem to modify your Friday sermons to be reflective of the volatility of the security situation in the country. So what the committee is saying, Mr. Obiko, from what you heard me read out, is that the imam ought to have shown some remorse and probably toned down his rhetoric because of the volatility of the security situation in the country in order not to stir up anything. And you know that, I don't know, I'm not trying to conjecture here, but I'm thinking that they're thinking about the power that these imams wield, to stir up people into action. What do you say to that?
Well, as far as Nigerians are concerned, nobody would have even heard that one mosque in a very small area of Abuja that the preacher said so and so. How many people attend the mosque? That mosque is one of the smallest mosques that you have in Abuja. There are so many big mosques that you have in the Federal Capital Territory. I think that particular mosque, I go through there like 5 times or 6 times every day. Is a mosque that is not even recognizable. It's not a mosque that you will pass and see. It's not very conspicuous. It's one of the smallest mosques. Maybe it's just the time and I don't know how to call it. Maybe it's the way that God has decided to elevate that preacher. Maybe because he has chosen the path of being brutally honest and he has chosen to speak truth to power. So maybe God has decided to kind of elevate him to a very high pedestal. Because some of you who operate from the southwest, or people who operate from outside of the north, or even those who stay in the north who are not very conversant with Abuja, when they begin to hear about Apple Legislative Quarters, they think it's a very giant, a very big place. Apple Legislative Quarters is not even up to Prince and Princess estate. It's not even up to one estate. It's just a very tiny part of the more part of Abuja. You understand? So that tells you that the truth is always constant. Because the man spoke the truth, and the kind of place he spoke the truth happens to be a very tiny place, in as much as the place has a very big name, you know. It's Apple Legislative Quarters. It's a place where legislators used to stay in those days. And mind you, that place is no longer, I don't think that place should be appropriately called legislative quarters.
But
because
Mr.
most of those houses...
I know Apple legislative quarters. It's not that small, you know. It's not tiny. If you want to look at the size of the estate compared to other estates in Abuja, it's not as tiny, you know. I don't know if tiny will be an appropriate way to... I've gone from the beginning of the legislative quarters to the back, where you have a cemetery, you know, and it's not tiny, you know. I don't know if I'm right to say that. But, I mean, let's take what you're saying. I mean, some will say that the sermon went far. You can see that it's on the internet, even as far as going to the social media or networking site, TikTok, you know. So in this day and age of technology, your sermon can go far. In fact, they said that the imam is an influencer, so his words carry a lot of weight. And they said his words can make or mar a situation. And says your words can be taken advantage of by mischief makers, those responsible for these security challenges or enemies of the country for their devilish agendas. So people could be stirred up, say, the imam is saying this. Let's rise up. Let's go and burn some places and all that. I mean, so I want you to address the power of technology. The power of technology. He calls himself the digital imam. So he uses technology to spread his message.
The message the man gave is very, very, very clear and straightforward. The message he gave is that if you have a government in place, I don't know whether you're really even understanding what I'm saying.
Yeah, I do. But I'm only presenting the position of the mosque committee, saying that his statements could incite people to violence or to be used by mischief makers for violent acts. So asking him to tamper, you know, and to moderate his statements so as not to make an already volatile situation in the country more volatile.
They are wrong. Well, they are wrong. What is going to make a volatile situation to become more violent is when you cover the truth. You know, when you say the truth. The people that have been killed, are they all senators? The majority of the people who are facing this attack are ordinary people, common people like us. Are the same people that the politicians will come to ask them to vote for them. So what is wrong in asking them to ensure that those who come to canvass for vote are ready to be accountable to the people? I don't understand how people... By the way, the man that even signed that message, is he still a senator? I don't think that man is even a senator. That's what I'm telling you. That Apple legislative quarter is just getting a name that is inappropriate, because legislators don't all live in that place any longer. It has actually been devalued. It's no longer Apple legislative quarters that used to be when some of us came into this town in 1998. So many of those houses have been sold. So the houses have been sold to ordinary traders in Wusu market. So I think those people who signed that statement, they're actually looking for appointment, maybe board appointment from the president, because they understand that the president is the kind of person who doesn't like anybody to criticize him.
So are you saying that, because I mean it won't be fair. I don't know if it will be fair for you to link the president to this. I mean, he didn't order the suspension and subsequent disengagement of this imam, did he? So would it be fair for you or anyone to link President Muhammadu Buhari to this incident when he doesn't even know the imam? I don't know if he knows him.
Anybody in Abuja who wants anything from this government in the last 7 years, it is a very notorious fact that if you want any kind of appointment or you want any kind of opening to begin to enjoy any kind of privilege politically, You have to be a praise singer. This government does not tolerate criticism.
Imam Ombu, can you give me an example of what you're referring to? Maybe one person who became a praise singer or sacked someone or exposed someone or went against someone just to do what we call in Nigeria eye service for President Muhammadu Buhari and was given an appointment. Do you have such an example so that we can understand better?
Yes, exactly. I think somebody somewhere is trying to make some kind of political gains.
No, I'm asking. I'm saying to prove your point that President Buhari easily gives appointments to people who do undertake such actions so that they can gain his favor. Is there any case in point that you'd like to refer us to, just to buttress what you're saying?
Oh, okay. Maybe you're not. It's the long you said in Nigeria. Otherwise, even the one that happened only about 2 days ago, you should have been aware of it.
Which one are you referring to?
The Minister of Transportation and the Governor of Kaduna State, gave a critique of the attack that happened in Kaduna. And the man who was railroaded and imposed as the national chairman of the APC quickly fired back at them and said, "Are you going to use a knife to cut through your stomach?" You understand? This is a government that does not tolerate criticism.
No, but sir, if you would, the national chairman of the APC, Abdullahi Adam, already has a position. But you are talking about people who are outside of the administration who see any opportunity to pull someone down or to criticize someone, to speak against someone, or to block them, or to disengage them if they speak up against this government, just so that they can gain the favor of the government. That President Buhari delights in giving appointments to people after they've proven themselves as loyal by, pulling down or exposing or criticizing people who oppose him or call him out. So I'm saying, give us an example of someone who was outside of government and did what the Apple Mosque Committee has done, okay? And then the president said, you've been able to, shut the mouth of someone who was criticizing me, take an appointment. So, I mean, you're saying the president has that as a habit. He does that habitually. So to buttress your point, because I'm searching for, can you give me one person who has been able to gain an appointment from Buhari purely because of that?
In fact, for me, I think even spending the time of the public discussing this matter, a matter that doesn't really, it doesn't appear really, logical. It's just time wasting. So, but the issue is this: it is because of the fact that we are confronted with a bunch of people who have been elected into government and who believe that they cannot be criticized.
Mr. Obiko, you're still not, Mr. Obiko, you're still not getting the question or answering I'm asking you, because you made a statement. You said on this program, that the reason why, you were sure the reason why whoever was in charge of that committee authorized and wrote that letter to the Imam, Muhammadu Nuru Khalid, did that was because he wants to get an appointment from President Buhari, that is what the president does, dishes out appointments to whoever can prove themselves loyal by shutting down someone who is vocal against the president or the administration. And I'm asking you to give us a case in point, sir, and you have not yet done that. And we're running out of time. So, sir, can you give? Otherwise, it'll be a false allegation.
Appointment through sycophancy. It doesn't really. I mean, something just happened yesterday, and if somebody's going to look for appointment, is it something that comes to the newspapers to begin to resolve, or maybe go to TV?
You sound so sure. And will it be fair? Will it be fair for you, sir? You're the coordinator of Human Rights Writers Association of Nigeria. Would it be fair? Wouldn't you be trampling on the rights and the image of the president to make such an accusation on his person without backing it up with facts? Because this is international TV. It's going all over the world. So please give me your
What
facts and tell me who the
image
president
of the
has
president
appointed
who
simply
cannot
because,
keep his
yes, I need an example from you,
primary
sir.
statutory duty and obligation to protect the citizens. What image are you talking about? We're talking about the fact that people are being killed like chickens in this country, and you're talking about image. What is image?
No,
What image do you have again?
you've made an allegation against someone. It could be anybody. I don't care whether it's Buhari or not. But my job, sitting on this chair, is to make sure that we put out facts. And such a statement could be damaging. It could be you, Mr. Obiko, tomorrow. So I'm asking you, if you say the president gives out appointments to people who shut down those who are vocal against his administration, and that's why whoever wrote that letter and signed it did that so that they can get an appointment from the president, because that's what he does. Give us an example of who has gotten an appointment from Buhari because of such an action.
My friend, I don't understand this kind of autopilot media practice that the young journalists are doing these days. You don't expect me to begin to point to the fact that these are the reasons why politicians give appointments. It is a very notorious fact in Abuja. You don't even need to know anybody in government.
Give me one example. Emmanuel Obiko, you can't give me even one example. You can't give me one example.
You must be 100% loyal to the person they call their leader or the person they call the father of the party.
And I asked for one example. Emmanuel, I asked for one example.
It's just common sense. You don't need me to begin to tell you. I think the problem we have
it's not common sense.
Right now,
it's an accusation. So give me one example, just one.
Have you seen the appointment that was made in the National Communications Commission? Have you seen the name of people that got appointments, including a spokesperson of one of the security agencies in Nigeria? Are they supposed to be there? All the board appointments that have been made in the last 7 years, all the boards in different parastatals, different government institutions in Nigeria, are they all the kinds of appointments that you expect that an elected president who is supposed to govern the country democratically should make? You go and take a look at all the appointments that he has made. The appointments are there for you to see. You don't need people to tell you that. I'm not giving you the one that has just been made, where the spokesperson of the Department of State Security was made a board member of a National Broadcasting Commission. Is that how an appointment should be? National Broadcasting Commission, then you have a spokesperson of an arm of the security services joining the board, governing board of a council that should design the policy of how media broadcasting should be, when Section 22 of the Nigerian Constitution clearly spells out the duty of the media. And you're asking me to tell you the people that have been appointed.
Mr. Obiko, I'm afraid you've not been able to answer the question, but you've made a strong case. Though you've not answered the question, but I appreciate you making a strong case.
Into the
all right, sir.
Board of the National Broadcasting
Commission. All right, sir. So before we go,
thank you.
Before we go, what would you say should happen going forward? Would you like to see more, clerics, clergymen, even from other faiths like Christianity, be this vocal about the situation of things in the country?
Let me tell you, everybody knows that the casualty in Nigeria right now is the truth. Politicians don't want people to tell them the truth. And you don't need to ask a civil rights activist to tell you if the things that are going on in this country are whether they are right or wrong. Or you don't need to justify an action of a bunch of people who sat down somewhere
I'm not justifying their actions. I'm only trying to balance. Sir, there's something called balance in journalism. If you say that they did it simply to get an appointment, and that's what the president does, I have to balance things out. But but I guess what you're saying, I think we can both agree that you're saying that more clerics need to speak out about the situation of things in the country and not keep quiet about it. I believe that's what you're saying, sir.
What I'm saying is that the government that we have in place right now, they have really damaged so many things. They have damaged even the aspect of having Nigerians express their opinion in the media. They now tell the media houses, these are the areas that you have to talk about. These are the people you have to invite. Man, I have never seen this kind of government ever in my life.
Okay, so are you saying that the federal government is telling media houses who to invite?
Of course.
Okay,
of course.
all right. We'll leave it at that.
Telling the media houses
we'll leave it at that.
That you cannot speak with the spokesperson of the, for instance, IPOB.
All right, we have to go.
Spoke with the spokesperson of IPOB. Channel was fine.
All right, Emmanuel, we have to go.
I mean, not channels. The PlusTV spoke with a leader of one of the Northwest terrorist group that is a wanted terrorist in this country. Just spoke with him about, I think, Malam Tuji or whatever I call him, about 2 weeks ago, and no action was taken against that particular media establishment because it is owned by people who are from the north.
Emmanuel, because we have to go. We certainly should have this conversation at some other time. But I want to appreciate you for doggedly answering the question and, of course, giving me your excellent delivery. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. Emmanuel Biko is the National Coordinator of the Human Rights Writers Association of Nigeria. Thanks for staying with us. We'll take a short break now. When we return, the ADP, a political party in Nigeria, joins us to tell us about their plans ahead of the 2023 elections and, of course, the state of the nation and what they think about it. Stay with us.
With regards to the electoral laws, well, I do not care too much about those laws as much as I care about the human resources that are going to conduct elections. And INEC, as it is presently composed, is made up of people who don't have the credibility to conduct free and fair elections. I'm not interested in zoning. I hope that Nigeria would continue to search for competent Nigerians who can run this country effectively, efficiently, in a just and egalitarian manner, so that these ethnic jingoists will not have a say in how we run our lives. We have done this whole rotational presidency for 20 years now. We've taken the presidency, Nigeria has taken the ruling class has taken the presidency to as many places as possible. But what they have not taken the presidency to is a zone of competency, zone of justice, zone of men of integrity. So if we make the mistake again of zoning to another incompetent character simply because of the location of his village, well, we will regret it.
So we are saying that what obtained about 60 years ago cannot confidently obtain now. So with respect to grazing routes, as a matter of fact, we're in a modern civilization. Modern civilization does not really give room for somebody taking cattle from the north down to the Port. Efforts must be made. These boys that are taking these cattle, they should go to school. In fact, when you look at pastoral nomadism, it's one that took place about 100, 200 years ago. There's no civilized world today you find people following cattle.
There's a great deal of reform required in the national security sector, especially with the police. I don't see any serious reforms going on. Where I would have said maybe a lot of money is going on into training, this, that, and so on. No. In nearly every state where today we have the military complementing the effort of the police on ground, we know how much state governments are spending. And that is why some of the governors are saying, allow us to have our own police force. And then this money, or this entire monies we are pumping in at the various state level, will go into our own police. The federal government could lay out the guidelines. We're not saying give them a free hand. Our politicians are not as mature as that. Governors, they are like children. They are like related with children.
These are shying away from rotation of power because in less than, say, 1 year to the polls, none of the parties, to the best of my knowledge, have come out to say we are picking our candidate, or this is the particular region where we'll be having our presidential candidate come from, whether it is the APC, the PDP, and all other smaller parties. None of the parties are doing that, are saying that at the moment. So I think it is actually wrong for the the governor of Ondo State, to categorically say that if any party feels a northerner, the southerners won't support. And I must say this: you see, democracy, whether we like it or not, is a government of numbers, is a product of numbers. I mean to say, and the fact is that the northern part of Nigeria still holds sway in terms of voters' power. So it holds on any candidate, whether it's coming, the candidate, particularly candidate coming from the south, to romance, excuse my word, to romance the north. Like what have Tinubu doing at the moment, for every little thing here and there in the north. He was in Zamfara before he traveled to London and so on. And even the vice president, whether he
Welcome back. You're still watching Plus Politics. The Action Democratic Party, ADP, has reacted to the Abuja-Kaduna train attacks. In a statement it released during a press conference, its chairman stated that the event casts doubts on the competence and attitude of the Muhammadu Buhari-led government to protect the lives and property of Nigerians. It added that the terrorism in the country has endured as a result of corruption of high-level officials and manifestation of the decadence and abysmal level of degeneration in the nation's security architecture. The ADP noted that it is neither disappointed nor amazed at the state of the nation as gross incompetence and resultant failure in respect of matters of security as the ruling APC lacks direction, it said. Now, joining us to discuss this is the national chairman of the Action Democratic Party, Yabagi Yusuf Sani. Good evening to you, Honorable Yusuf Sani. Thank you very much for your time.
Good evening to you. Thank you for having me.
Yes, you have quite a long statement, but can you just, in summary, give us a position of the Action Democratic Party?
Well, the issue is that okay, can I go on?
Yes, please, Honorable Yabagi, we can hear you. Please go on. Hello, Honorable, please go on. We can hear you, so please continue.
Okay. I said the issue is that it would appear that the APC-led government has lost direction, especially as it concerns the issue of security of lives and property in Nigeria. The speed at which this attack by bandits, so-called bandits, is happening indicates that it is either like some conspiracy, within the security agencies, or if you like, within the government, or there is an absence of governance completely. Because where you have governance, there's no way a country like Nigeria, with spending time talking about 400,000 force strength and the resources we have in terms of ammunition and the upkeep of this force for us to be attacked in the manner and sequence that is happening by a ragtag, few individuals. I mean, it questions the competence and sincerity of the people at the helm of affairs. And to worsen the situation, Nigerians are made to be the victim. Rather, the government is playing the victim instead of the citizens. If you listen to what the Minister of Transport was saying, or you listen to what Verify was saying, it's like there's some political grandstanding. Maybe because Sumter 3 is by the corner, these guys want to show that they are not part of this government, or that they have done what they are supposed to do as actors in this government. And maybe President Buhari, who will not be standing for election, that has failed the nation, but not them, not the minister, not the governor. So you can see how they are playing on the intelligence of Nigeria. And this is why Action Democratic Party is saying that Nigerians need to hold the power to account. We should hold power to account.
Okay. Yabagi Yusuf Sani, what would you say to those who believe that parties like yours are only speaking up now because the elections are around the corner, and asking where have you been all this while? Why is it that all of a sudden we're hearing about the Action Democratic Party? What do you say to people who ask such questions as an answer?
No, those who say so may not be fair to us because of all the political parties in Nigeria. I think we have been most vocal, we have been most constructive in our criticism of the government, and we have had several press conferences to call the attention of Nigerians to the fact that the APC-led government has failed, that they lack credibility, they lack capacity. They don't even know where they are taking the country, politically, economically, and also socially. So we have been speaking, we have been issuing press releases, we have been calling you guys to listen to us. If they are taking press interviews, I don't know what else you want us to do.
The Minister of Information and Culture, Alhaji Lai Mohammed, had responded to a similar statement that the People's Democratic Party governors had put out, just similar to what your party is saying, that the APC federal government is a failure. And what the Minister of Information did say was that if you want to look at the entire security situation in the country, especially in the northern part of the country, that the threat was hitherto in the northeast, and that's why they came into government on the road and back of an election win, with Nigerians, feeling that Goodluck Jonathan and the PDP had not done enough. The Minister of Culture and Tourism had said, of Information and Culture rather, had said, was that the federal government is doing well and they are recording successes in the fight against terrorism in the northeast, and that these successes should not be overlooked. He talked about the fact that before now, Nigeria was coming from a 16-year administration that could not equip the military. And they met a dire situation on ground that they had to fix, and that they've been able to equip the military, especially with armaments, and with the payment of salaries and dedication of money to the military, not going to the pockets of politicians. He also said, they've procured 12 Super Tucano jets and other hardware from foreign allies of Nigeria, that these should not be overlooked. What do you say to that?
Well, they can tell that to the Marines. Maybe because there's no daughter or son or wife of any of the ministers or presidency that has been kidnapped all along. That's why they are saying all this nonsense to Nigeria. I'm sure if it has happened to one of them, he won't be saying what he's saying. It's unfortunate that people would take the whole country to be fools, that they would tell us this kind of nonsense to people. If you can at least sympathize with Nigerians, please don't abuse our intelligence. That's what I say to.
All right. Apart from criticizing the APC federal government and or APC-led federal government and demanding action, what can the ADP do if it had the power? What would the ADP do differently to fix the situation?
I mean, you see, Nigeria is the most easiest country to rule, to govern, because all the ingredients are there. The resources is there, human capital is there, peace is there, because we are not at war, except the war that has been visited on Nigerians by those who are collaborating with some miscreants to destabilize the country. And most of them are in this government, because how do you explain a situation where you give billions to the security agencies? Like they say, they buy 2 Tucano jets, and we can't see anything, in terms of the change in the insecurity in the country. Look at the area of corruption. The corruption in this government is more endemic than it has ever been in this country. So there is no governance. That's all what that's happening. Okay. Unfortunately, the only thing standing between us and greatness in this country is leadership.
Okay.
And this is something that ADP government will provide.
All right. We are pressed for time. But of course, you've given us, a bit of what your party will do. And we'll be looking forward to hearing more of your party as we see the political landscape expand and the space expand with different voices coming up ahead of the 2023 general election. So thank you very much for your time.
Thank you for having me.
All right. And that's Yabagi Yusuf Sani, who is the national chairman of the Action Democratic Party. Thank you for staying with us right here on Plus Politics. And that's so much we can take for now. It's been a bumper package. We do promise to try and get the Sheikh on the program tomorrow or next. But from all of us here at our studios in Victoria Island, Lagos, thanks for joining us and keep watching. My name is Kofi Bertels. Good evening.
we do not understand, we will stigmatize.
What you can see is the remaining of the tanker that exploded.
The suspect equally confessed.
A 500 naira they collect them. If you don't talk, they go beat you. Now 2,500 and they pay.
So what are the top decisions that the United States considers necessary that Nigeria must take? I like to think of my interactions as conversations, not interviews. And that's why I say asking questions is both an art and a science. Everyone says in Islam you are allowed to have 4 wives. Is it mandatory? The right question enables answers that educate, inform, clarify, and help you, the viewer, to better understand the issue before making up your mind.
Our goal is to reduce from 10 to 2 days the time it takes to register businesses in Nigeria.
Join me every week on this station, PlusTvAfrica, and gain exclusive access to my conversations. I'm Angela Ajetumobi.
For upcoming artists to blow in Nigeria.
Welcome to Plus Trending. I am Bookie November, your host, saying thank you for joining us on today's episode.
Welcome back. It's tea time on PlusTvAfrica.
Practice makes perfect. I'm not perfect yet, but I'm a